Well, hello, Dr. Tarr. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Head. Doctor, sorry. Should have used a professional term. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm Montag now, so
Montag. Oh, sorry.
it's all right.
Montag Head. Hey, wait a second. That's not Gadfly and Feather.
No, I didn't know if they were going to show up or not. I'm going to change
Who, Feather and Gadfly?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if they were coming.
I was talking to him last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I know Sizzlin
And
Bacon said he was going to come, and my other friend Chris Shurr,
yeah, I see he's
he's
down
there.
there.
Yep, I'm right here.
You got a oh, there's Professor Feather. Nice.
Oh, let me do my camera. I don't know why my camera's not showing up.
Yeah, you got a camera, Chris? There we go.
Ah!
Oh, put it back. Put it back. When Sizzlin Bacon gets on, we see him. There was my other co-host can't make it today, Chop Top. That would have been a little Cyclops movies reunion because Sizzlin Bacon, well, Al from the Monster Party Beach, and Chris was Cross-Eyed Larry in Monster Party Beach. And then Al was also he was the photographer in Sorority Sisters versus Sasquatch, and he was one of the astronauts in Quest for Uranus. So Sizzlin Bacon's
and
both...
we're some of the few people that saw.
That's right. That's right.
It's not giving me any options other than that OBS camera.
Huh.
So something somewhere along the line got screwed up, and I don't know what.
Well, at least the beautiful people, we can still see them. Us.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Tar, we're checking out Tar's crotch. There we go.
Oh, I wanted that. Normally I have to pay for that.
Right. Normally I do too. So thank you. Only Tars.
Where am I?
Yeah.
It makes you feel better. I'll turn off my camera.
No, I like seeing people. It's nice.
I know it would make me feel better.
I know. So maybe I'll leave it on.
I say the same thing to my mirror every morning.
I was just going to say, seeing your crotch, Tar, I feel like I am paying.
We're going to pay for a long time for that.
Yeah. You pay long time.
Yeah, Chris has made some excellent masks. Really awesome. You got anything to show us?
Well, what do I got right next to me here?
In the big city.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Okay. Well, you've never looked better. I can say that. But
that's true. That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I said.
Classic reference.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
keeps disappearing.
Put it in front of you.
Oh, keeps disappearing.
Oh,
there you
go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very nice.
I like that. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's what's his name from The Thing?
Yeah,
or his head at least.
Norris.
Yeah, you should make a spider. Make a crawling spider head. That would be awesome. They should make that. They should make a remote control of that.
Oh, I know.
That would be great.
I'm not the only one that thinks it would be really cool to make toys out of the most bizarre things.
Okay, well, I'm going to do our fantastic intro, and then we'll get into it.
Howdy, this is David Sanchez, and you are listening to and or watching Heavy Metal Horror.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always. And you are watching and listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Oh, kiddies, we've got a huge show tonight. We've got a lot of celebrity guests here with us. That's right. We've got Chris Shurr, who makes masks and is a Cyclops movie alum, going back to Monster Party Beach. And we've got Unsane Radio, Dr. Tarr, Professor Fether, Midnight Gadfly, and Sizzlin Bacon. Unsane Radio. This is the first true cross-pollination that we've had of our shows. I feel so dirty. Where's my sock? Guys, welcome to Heavy Metal Horror.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I was just devouring a piece of pizza, but thank you very much.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Someone's going to pay extra money for this episode. They're going to watch you just eat that pizza. Yeah.
They're a munchie.
Yeah.
Hey, Montag, I just want to point out that you cross over to Unsane Radio every episode.
That's true. That's true. I've been crossing a lot.
It's about time you reciprocated.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Dude, well, we've let you on for 3 years. Maybe we should let us on for an episode. Yeah. Well, today we're going to talk about horror on the small screen, our favorite horror TV shows and TV movies. And, because we're all monster kids, we've all grown up with a lot of these things. And I thought it'd be a lot of fun to kind of talk about that. So I'll just begin with some of like one of my earliest memories of childhood probably goes back to watching The Night Gallery. And Rod Serling's show, very very much like a horror version of the Twilight Zone, and the sign on just scared the shit out of me. The creepy camera angles and
Yeah.
like the close-ups and the music. I mean, I was like 4 years old and I'm watching 5, and it was just like, fuck, this is kind of creepy.
No, it is creepy. I was a little older and still, if you're falling asleep kind of late at night and that imagery came up, it's like you had to turn it off or roll over or whatever. But hey, yeah, it was kind of creepy. The old men or the old people.
Mm-hmm.
All those old people.
Hey, we'll watch
They
it there.
were. No. Speaking as an old person, it was
I was
pretty
going to say,
terrifying. So.
I think we're all pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're old. Jeez, you're old. You're all just so damn old. That's why I don't have my picture on because I just
You want to make us feel
I'm
bad for how
wrapped
old
up
we
in.
look.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
I would really, I just make y'all look so bad because I look so young and virile. Okay,
Yes.
maybe not virile.
Viral,
You had me until you got to viral. but that
Viral?
was all right.
Viral?
Viral?
Viral. There we go.
You're just covered
But
in
you
pock
talk
marks.
about speaking of age, my TV history goes way back before your guys.
Yeah.
So I go back into like the show that scared me the most was One Step Beyond. Do you
yeah.
remember that show? Yeah. It was just scary. I mean, I would watch it and but I watched a few episodes recently and I figured out why it was so scary. It wasn't really the show, it was the music. It has some of the weirdest, oddest music going. And I think that's what set the tone, for the eeriness of the show. And the show
Right.
was pretty eerie.
And they played
too.
it so straight though, too. It was great. And he was
Yes.
in the director, John Newman, or what was his name?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Was he the director?
I
know he's the narrator,
I thought he
I
directed,
don't
or
know,
at least
yeah.
maybe he directed a few.
he could have. I really don't know.
Anyway, it's
Especially at
kinda
that
his
time, I
show.
didn't care.
That's interesting that you guys say that about the music being the one thing that seemed to scare you the most when you were kids,
yeah.
because when I was a kid, the one thing that terrified you as a child was that theme from Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I wouldn't.
That was a good theme.
Funny.
It
When
was a
every
good
time-
theme, but when that came on, you're like, shit, it's going to be people that, got away with it. And they're
Oh
hiding in my
damn! I'm
closet.
on a milk carton. Oh.
That's what I was thinking. It's like every time you hear it, another child's gone.
Yep.
You're always looking at that milk carton to see if it's you that's missing.
Twice.
Yeah. But yeah, the music is so important. Because another show, this is probably even right around that time or a little bit later, maybe by the time I was 7, Kolchak the Night Stalker, which has
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
such a great like sign on that music. But Kolchak, I remember watching was it second or third episode, Zombie, and the scene where Kolchak is in the grave, the car, cemetery car graveyard, and he finds the zombie and he's pours a salt in his mouth and he's getting ready to sew him up, and then his eyes open up and we all screamed. I mean, all of us just screamed out loud.
That's some good ones.
And I watch it through probably once a year. I will put it on in the background while I'm
I
working.
like the one that it was like that it was a demon-like thing, but it was like it appeared as the person you trusted or loved the most.
Oh, the
or whatever.
Rakshasa.
Yeah,
Rakshasa. Yep.
Yeah. Horror in the
remember
I like that.
Heights.
I thought that was fun. I thought that was a
Yeah.
good one.
When it
Yeah,
holds-
there was some fun ones I liked.
It holds up too because when my son was about 7 or 8, I introduced him to him, and he became obsessed with them. He would watch them over and over and over. And I forgot how good they were with the dialogue and stuff. There's the
Yeah.
It
one
was
the
was
one-
because of what's his name?
Darren
Chase.
McGavin
Yeah,
well, and David Chase. That's one of his first
and
productions.
David Chase.
And he
Yeah.
did a lot of the
Yeah,
writing.
that's right.
But my favorite scene with him and his boss is when you see them start arguing and the train goes by. So you don't hear any of the argument, and then the train's done, and he goes, "And that's that," or something like that, And I'm like, "That's
Yeah, that was
genius."
good. I remember that. Yeah.
Hmm.
I like Darren McGavin. He, it just didn't.
yeah.
He did an early TV show, Mike Hammer. It was like a half-hour TV show. I think that was the first TV show he ever did, and that's kind of
yeah.
what got me into the whole detective genre because I like Darren McGavin's acting so well. I went back and watched a couple of them too, and they're good, but you can't do anything in a half hour, especially for something
Yeah.
dramatic like that. Yeah.
One long serial. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one for me was Outer Limits.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was a groundbreaker,
Dark
the
Shadows.
beginning of it is so great. When they, we are in control. I
Mhm.
love that.
Was
You know,
that
that whole
that was
thing,
a
I thought was
contemporary of the
great.
Twilight Zone, or it was a little earlier in it?
No, that
we-
was after. It was like
Oh, it
was
was
it after?
It was a little after.
A little after?
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
60s,
I
mid
it's
60s.
it's similar but
Mid
it's
60s.
but it's very different also in its how it feels. Its approach to science fiction, and I love the one that you see
I
the
like
picture
how it
always
plays
the
it
ant with
totally
the human
straight.
face, like the ant
Yes.
with the like that's the one that stands out as one of those iconic, creepy.
Is that the one
images.
with Agnes Moorehead? Wasn't she the
No,
star
that's the
of that
Twilight
one?
Zone
That's,
one.
Oh, was that the Twilight Zone one?
Yeah, and
Oh,
where it
yeah, I
ends
think
up
you're
being
right.
the
Yeah, with the
astronauts or U.S. astronauts or
yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Twilight Zone though was another one that was just so good. Look forward to that
Mhm.
one every week.
Yeah,
they shifted. They were more towards fantasy than
fantasy science fiction, but like
But
Science
every once in a
fiction.
while
not
they had
less
some good
hard
ones.
science fiction and more like the
What's the one with Bill
like
Mooney?
Bradbury type of science fiction. It's more human centered
Yes.
and soft sci-fi as opposed to like
Right.
Arthur C. Clarke.
What
Yeah,
was
but the one
with Bill Mooney?
that got me the most was always the airplane one with William Shatner and that
I
troll
can't
on
get
the
over
wing.
Yeah,
the fuzzy lumpkin thing out there.
Yeah.
The
that
fuzzy
was
lumpkin
just-
thing. But see, like when I was a kid, I remember seeing the when they did it for the film, the John Lithgow version, and
That was pretty
that
creepy.
one creeped me out because it was like a demonic gremlin. And then
Yeah.
I saw the original one, and I'm like, wait, it's an Ewok. But
yeah.
still,
It's Chaka from Land of the Lost. Chaka.
Yeah, right.
And it has. Did you ever get a good look at the face? It has the weirdest fucking lips. It's just
Yeah,
like
it
that.
does.
It has like
It's
duck
like a-
lips or whatever going on.
Yeah, it's like a donut.
The only-
that
the only
suctions
thing I
up to
can-
the window.
So
The only thing
stupid.
I can say about that is Tarr and Fether Tarr actually did a nice picture of Shatner looking out the window and Tarr and Fether are out on the wing. He's got that look on it. I like that.
It's like, oh god, not again.
Tarr!
But no, every time
What
I
else?
ride an
Yeah.
airplane and I hear a noise, I'm always peeking out the window looking for some space gremlin.
I'm not. I'm looking for an engine falling
I like
off.
that episode though. Yeah. He was in another one about the in the diner with the little devil thing that was told fortunes or something.
Yeah.
Which was kind of interesting. That was going to that one. Both of those really go to show how he overacted when he got into Star Trek.
He did
Yeah.
an Outer Limits episode too, where he's the
Yes.
astronaut that comes back from Venus.
Yeah,
You can't get warm.
that's right.
He has visions of that that floating thing in the Venus atmosphere or whatever it was, which was kind of interesting. I thought
Shatner's
that
been
was-
around. He's been around for. He was early on, in the 50s. He was in what was that other? Oh, he did a pilot for Nero Wolf, and he played Archie Goodwin. It was like
Oh,
there again.
really?
It was a half an hour show. I don't think they did very many episodes. It made them. I don't even think they did a whole season. But that
What
was like
year
in
was
the
that?
50s. You know,
Oh, 50s?
late 50s, early 60s. Yeah, he was. Shatner was very young.
What's that movie that Shatner's in where he's like a racist that stirs up the town and gets it? Oh, fuck. I think it's not a Corman movie, but maybe it is. I don't know. The Intruder? Is that what I'm thinking of? It's like 1962 or something like that. Fuck.
I'm familiar with it.
It's like at the height of the racial stuff, and he's in this movie and it's I'll look it up. But,
Well, I think with most of us, some of my earliest horror movies I remember seeing on TV was because of the horror hosts we had, late night in the Cleveland area, and the Ghoul,
Absolutely.
Houlihan and
or
Big Chuck,
sometimes in
and
the
Superhost.
afternoon.
Or
Yeah, so
Saturday
that was
afternoons
it.
was Superhost,
Yeah.
where he showed more like
Superhost.
the monster movies like Gamera, Godzilla, a lot of kaiju.
Mhm.
Whereas like the Ghoul would always show more of the prurient 60s and 70s kind of like
Your trash stuff.
yeah, trash stuff. And Houlihan and Big Chuck would, they did showed a mixture of
They
classics
do a
and
mix.
garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of
So
really
Graves did the
the
classic ones.
introduction. Yeah, we all
mostly.
grew up with the horror hosts because that's what
Yeah.
Tarr and Fether, you guys are horror hosts. I mean, that's really was your inspiration as well, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, we're horror hosts. Huh?
Yeah.
And there
Oh,
again, I
movie
can show
hosts.
my age because I go back way back. I watched Ghoulardi,
Mhm.
and I watched my original horror host. The first one was in 1957, and that's when Universal released their package, and and
It's a huge
they
package.
it was Selwyn out of Indianapolis. And that's where I was 7 years old. I saw Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolf Man, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, all of the early Universal, that
Classic
package that they
stuff.
released. Yeah, all the classic stuff. 7 years
that's
old, watching that stuff.
And where that was out of Indiana?
Indianapolis. He was out of Indianapolis, yes.
See, it's interesting. I do a lot of the circuit with the haunted community, so people that do haunted houses and stuff and haunted attractions. And a lot of people from different parts of the nation never had those horror hosts like we had in like Ohio, Indiana, New York, Pennsylvania. It's interesting. So they like it. They like, I'm telling them how like I would watch Saturday morning cartoons, and then like some Hammer film would come on, and I'd watch that. Or some, it'd be like, this is great. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you didn't have those?
Yeah,
What is
Ohio
it?
is probably
Ohio
the
is
biggest horror host.
second? Yeah.
Has the most horror hosts, I think, of anybody.
Yeah.
And
Well,
New York
it-
is second. I
as
think.
of
And
last
astronauts,
year-
apparently,
Detroit,
too.
there's a big area, Detroit, Cleveland community, Ohio, in the southern Ohio, right? We grew up very fortunate in the time that we did,
And who was the other one? California? Is that the other place that had
Yeah, California had
Oh.
a few. That's for
Yeah.
New
yes.
York or something like anyway?
Yeah, New York had
but
a
we had
few.
the most.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
with
even
Zachary.
now-
And
We have the most haunted attractions in the nation. Ohio does.
Oh, really?
Ohio does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
I
191
didn't know
haunted houses.
Wow.
Oh, my
Cool. That's cool.
How many of them
I
are
never knew
good?
that.
I didn't know
well,
that.
maybe
yeah,
about 5.
how many are good though?
Five.
Five. Excellent. Those are all in the same strip mall, like a big strip mall of good haunted houses.
Right.
Yeah, like going to Monroe.
Well, that was my, we're talking about TV. That was my introduction to, all the movies, the real movies, was through TV most generally. I mean, I went to the
Yes.
theater when I started about 8 years old. I started going to the theater and watching movies, and seeing a lot of horror movies and science fiction movies. But all and like you said, and I was fortunate enough to live in different areas to see different horror hosts.
Yeah.
I lived in Florida in 1962, and the horror host was out of Miami called M.T. Graves. He kind of looked like what's his name from New Orleans.
Fair Insanity.
Morgus.
Morgus. Morgus.
Ah.
Morgus.
Yes.
He looked kind of like Morgus, had the teeth, the kind of the buck teeth. But I remember watching him for like a summer when I was in Florida, because then that was in 1962, which was the year of the big fiasco with Cuba, and come in the late October. My dad, we lived in Indiana. My dad said, we're leaving because we're watching all these convoys of troops and stuff coming down. My dad goes, Florida's the first to go. He said, we'll go to Ohio where at least or to Indiana where we'll at least have a chance. And my mom said, and he wanted to leave on the last day of November, and my mom, or last day of October. And my mom said, no, I'm going to take the kids out for Halloween, trick or treat. And my dad goes,
Oh,
you think
really?
that's, she goes, no, we're going to do that no matter what. If it happens, it happens. And at least we're having fun.
Yep.
Thought that was pretty good. But the next day, man, we were gone. Back to
Oh, yeah.
Indiana.
Look, and you have not written a story about this. Seriously. You
Oh,
should
they
do
did.
that.
What was the,
what was that
um,
movie, Tarr?
No, your
What was that
version
movie
of
with?
it.
Matinee.
Yeah.
Matinee.
What was that?
Matinee.
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 Great.
Matinee. Well, that was almost my history, because that was us kind of. We didn't go into the, but I love that movie.
But what you're saying
Is it?
about
Yeah,
like
crazy
different,
times.
Can
when I
we
was a
even
kid,
find
I
that
only had,
movie?
like,
Yeah, hold on, Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm
when I
sorry.
was a kid, I only had like 3 channels, right? I had channel 43,
Yep.
19 WOIO Shaker Heights, Cleveland, and maybe channel 5 ABC. But I just remember my introduction to all the monsters. There was this thing. It must have been 1986, and it was a week of It's Not Easy Being Green. And it was WOIO channel 19, and they were just showing different monster shows, movies about how
Awesome.
hard it is being green. And that was my first time I ever saw Godzilla 1985 or 84. And that was it. That was it for me. That's what, and Swamp
Being a
Thing was
nerd,
on
though,
there. and-
he wasn't green. He was charcoal color.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
How do you know?
But I just remember the host was
You know.
Kermit the Frog.
Nice.
Kermit
Yeah, the only
Frog.
time he was green was on the cover of the Marvel comic book, or in the Marvel comic book, and then in the first
Hanna-Barbera.
Polar Lights.
Hanna-Barbera.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hanna-Barbera
I was
came
like,
out in
he's
the
never
80s.
been green.
No, and the
but
model
I
kit that
just-
came out, the Aurora model kit in the 70s,
Yeah.
was green plastic with
I
glow
had a
dark
problem
parts.
with that when that came. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I had that,
I mean,
yeah.
this
I did
also-
like the
I-
glow in the dark stuff, though.
Well, so
There's
we
a
didn't
real
have
geek
enough money
statement.
to
I had a
actually-
problem with that.
No,
Chris.
right?
Chris,
Not
go
at the
ahead.
time.
Oh, yeah, we didn't have enough
Go ahead, Chris.
money
Sorry.
to buy VHS, so all my movies that I rewatched were all recorded off Channel 19
Oh yeah.
of different shows and all sorts of stuff like that. That was the first time I saw The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, all
Oh,
that
yeah.
great
Oh,
stuff was
yeah.
on these, Big Chuck, Little John, and it's like
All the good stuff was probably cut out. When you finally saw the real cut, like, oh my God, I didn't see
Oh,
that
yeah.
before.
I remember that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I
mean,
saw the first strobe light I ever saw was on Big Chuck and Houlihan. They came out and said, "Hey, look at this! This is cool." And they turned all the lights off and turned that, and they're dancing. I thought, "Oh, that's so cool."
I don't remember that. I had a seizure.
and then that's when your fondness for the taste of pencils started, right?
But
Give me
no,
some
it
extra
was
graphite.
because- It was because of watching that particular Godzilla movie that I suddenly had a passion that the monsters were the good guys. Because at the end, when he falls in the volcano and it's that super sad monologue, I'm like, no, the monsters are the good guys. And ever since then, it just led me down this path of monsters. Just I want more monsters, and they need to be free.
Yeah.
Cage free.
Frankenstein. Yeah.
Cage free.
Well, that was kind
roaming.
of the original theme of Gojira. Was he
Yeah.
came back, because he was, nature. It was
Yep.
like, nature is going to come back and take over.
Nobody puts
Yes.
baby in a corner.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
That's right. Yeah, and then you have the whole healthy dose of the atomic bomb and the Nagare and the flow of life being interrupted, and then the kami, and there's a lot of Shinto imagery in the Godzilla
Oh
movies.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But
Go ahead, man.
yeah, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say another show we had. I think Dr. Tarr had mentioned it earlier. Dark Shadows. That was like
Oh,
Yeah.
I used to watch
going
that
back to
when
the
I was a
music,
kid.
and
Yeah.
spooking me is music. That one did that. When I first heard that when I was little, when it first came on, that scared that stuck with me at night because they used to show it at night sometimes, and it was just I remember hearing that being upstairs and just creepy.
Really gothic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
But I
Dark
go back
Shadows,
and looked at
correct me
that
if I'm
lately.
wrong, that was the first vampire like show, right?
Yeah, it was a gothic
On TV.
yeah, soap opera, and that's when I
Yeah.
started watching it. I remember watching because that's the only reason why I watched it. I mean, I paid attention for the vampire to show up. Then when they brought in like a witch, there's like a werewolf. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But it was mostly to see
And
the
a
vampire.
Frankenstein guy.
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't give a shit about anything else. I was just sitting there waiting for the monsters to show up. Yeah.
So that essentially would have been the grandfather of
first
everything
season
from like Buffy the
sucked.
Vampire
Oh, okay.
Slayer and things like that we had later.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
A serialized.
I wouldn't go as far as
you know,
Buffy,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, it was like 1,300 episodes.
Well, I
or
was-
something.
Shit.
Something like I was in high school, actually junior high, I think, when that came on, and it was on at like 4 o'clock or 4:30
Yeah.
in the afternoon. Just as we get home from school and turn that on.
Yeah.
The only reason I watched it, and I didn't watch it all the time because I thought it was so horrible, but the
It
reason
was
I watched
bad.
it was the one lady. The one lady was an alcoholic, and because it was
Oh,
live.
The
And
doctor.
she was constantly flubbing her lines, and everybody else is trying to scramble to cover her, and this went on all the time. So I watch it just for the humor, waiting for her to fuck up. So, and that's the only, because I thought the show was a soap opera,
It was
just
very
and-
much.
and- yeah. But
that was Dan Curtis,
beautiful,
right?
Yeah, Dan
yeah,
Curtis.
yeah, beautiful that that concept, to bring a whole different group of people in to kind of experience soap operas in a different way, in that horrific way, I guess.
Yeah.
So she was the first Dudley Moore.
Yeah, really.
Right. Sizzlin Bacon, did you watch?
Yeah, they had some other show on after that. But go ahead.
Well, I was just say, ask Sizzlin Bacon if he watched Dark Shadows when it was on when he was a kid. Oh, maybe he's not here. I see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has
Not said anything.
Yeah.
he hasn't said anything the whole show.
Okay.
So
maybe
something must be wrong there.
Yeah. So,
Probably over there yelling.
another show that the last one that I have set aside because the music really was really creepy, and then just the kind of the premise of it, even though it's not a horror show, I remember being a little creeped out by In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy,
Yeah.
and it, like when he would do like In Search Of Bigfoot, it would like he would describe people would talk about hearing sounds because we lived at the time out in the boonies and Vermilion, but it was out from the city, and we had a bunch of woods in our backyard, and then they would describe the sound or the smells like sulfur, and there was one time I smelled sulfur outside. I'm like, oh my god, we got Bigfoot's gonna come and like break into the house because I'd seen
Not that there's
Legend
a
of
huge
Boggy
industrial
Creek.
complex over here, but it's
yeah,
just
I was like oh my god, Bigfoot's gonna fucking kill us, yeah, that show always kind of had that little bit of a creepy vibe, maybe because it looks so sweaty, 70s
by the
porn
way,
looking.
in Ohio, it's
Yeah,
grass.
it did.
Thank you.
70s porn looking.
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
someone had
It did.
a
No, I remember one of those episodes being called the Hide Behind, and it would eat loggers in Ohio. And what it would do is it would apparently always be behind you until you turned, and then and then it would take you away.
Yeah.
And it always terrified me. I'm like, well, how do I know if it's there or not?
right.
Well, I love that
Sounds-
joke by
Sounds
Mitch
kind of
Hed-
pervy, but that's all right.
Yeah, that joke by Mitch Hedberg is great. It's one line. Bigfoot is blurry.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, as we can
God, I
see,
love Mitch
that's
Hedberg.
right.
It's true. Maybe he is. Maybe it's a true.
Hedberg was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen that stabilized film, the Zapruder film of Bigfoot films.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The Patterson
and it's
one?
yeah Patterson film. Yeah, it is creepy. I mean that stuff scared me
It
to death
was-
as a kid.
They did,
Yes.
did a good job. They did a good job
Is that the one where
of
he's like
faking
the
it. They did a
side
really
shot?
good job.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's walking and it looks at you. I'm like, oh fuck, okay,
Oh man.
nightmare fuel right there. Yeah,
So do you think it's real or not? From that
Totally.
I think it is.
It's totally real.
I do.
It's a piece of film. It's a piece of film. It's real.
A real
It's
piece
real.
of film.
Real.
It's a real
It was
piece of
put
film.
into a metal
real.
canister.
It's a real.
it's real film. Yeah.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I mean, I know this is a whole thing, but like for someone who makes costumes and makes monsters, it looks really good for that time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That's why I
and
said it's
like-
one of the best fakes I've ever seen. I thought it was great.
It does blow my mind every time I see that one. I'm like, because I've seen some frumpy Bigfoot before.
Sasquatch for Surrey Sisters versus Sasquatch, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was half the budget, man. That thing cost me $100.
And I could still probably hear you.
Wait a minute. You had a
damn
movie
it.
that had 200
Fucking $100.
budget?
No, well, that movie cost me that was about $180.
No.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, and like,
With a mega budget.
because I had to buy socks and T-shirts for the sorority girls. I had to buy suckers and a lot of fake
and
blood.
more socks for
Socks
you.
for you. Socks for you.
Socks for me. Just a baby socks for me.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah,
That didn't sound good.
So-
I know what I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't take it that way.
Let's go with a more.
Penis size
Yeah.
penis.
Let's go with a modern TV show or a more modern TV
Yeah.
show that I really liked was American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were hit or
Yes.
miss. Yeah,
They were, but I think I liked.
Even the misses are pretty good though.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I really like this. Was it second season with the Asylum?
Yes,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was so
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
That was
very
my
good.
favorite
Just, and
season.
so bizarre. Yeah.
And the other one, I like the other one with the freak show,
Freak show was
the
good.
Yeah.
circus.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
I like that one.
Yeah,
really
it started
well,
off
too.
really well and
Um,
bottom to the middle and then had a
Yeah.
strong finish.
Kind of
Yeah,
come
That
back
freak
up.
show, yeah. I also loved Coven. I thought that was
I did too,
really
yeah.
fun. That was just had a little bit
That
of
was
humor.
Coven
my
was a
favorite
good
one.
one.
You know,
That
yeah,
was
the,
my
the
favorite
Yeah.
baby
season was
gravy.
Coven.
I don't think I saw that one. What's
Can
what's
we
that
all
one about?
be quiet for a second?
But-
Sizzlin Bacon, are you there?
I'm here.
There you
You
are.
just can't see
Oh,
me.
there we go.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
we had
I know
we
it's
hadn't
weird
heard
that you
anything
can't
out
see
of
me,
you.
but
That
yeah. No, we were.
you
talking
can't see
about-
me either. So
Yeah, right. With American Horror Story, I love
Just
that
see your
show. But
green
Coven,
box
I think,
going back and forth.
right. Coven, which was the witch
Yeah, the witches.
season, was my favorite out of that show. That
Good,
was my
yeah.
favorite season because you got Kathy Bates. That was the first season with
Mhm.
her, and she's eating every piece
And
of
her
scenery.
son
she can-
masturbates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and what I love is that they use a lot of the same actors season to season to season.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
change the
You know-
story, but give you the same cast.
Yes, and I don't remember his name, the Lobster Boy. He was also
Oh, Evan Peters.
he's
Mhm.
so fucking amazing, and everything that he's done.
yeah,
His run as Jeffrey Dahmer in the Netflix series, Jesus
Oh,
fucking Christ,
Jeez,
that
yeah.
is so disturbing and
Yes. Yep.
effective, and like no wonder you get every fucking accolade there is for that performance.
It's kind of fun that he kind of picks these bizarre roles. I mean, or at least, yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
at
it's
least
so
he
good.
gravitates to him.
It's because
Yeah.
he's got Quicksilver money.
That's,
There you
that's
go.
right. Yes. Yeah,
Well, you mentioned
oh,
Buffy
American horror
the
film. Yeah, go ahead.
vampires. I was going to say Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Yeah.
but if you want to, I didn't. I was moving on. I thought if you want to still talk about
No, Buffy.
American
Yeah,
Horror Story.
either one.
Yeah.
There are most of those. I love 1984 American Horror Story. I thought that was a really a fun one. And
That one I
Yep.
haven't got to yet.
yeah,
I'm
it's
looking
really
forward
that's
to
a
that
great one. It's really fun. And then the one I did not like was it the one with the Antichrist? You know, that was
Oh.
just so fucking
In the
boring.
bunker? Or
Yeah, I'm
whatever.
like, he's worried about what these witches are doing. Like, you're the fucking Antichrist. You
You
know,
just
you should.
zap 'em with lightning. and
Yeah,
fly
I'm like,
away,
really?
dude.
That was just. It just went nowhere slowly. That was just painfully bad. You know, like the movie Frogs.
Oh God.
But yeah,
I
But-
kind of like frogs. Just
oh
because.
no, it's so bad.
Yeah,
It's so bad.
menacing images of lizards and frogs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ed Ray Milan.
The reptiles are
wheelchair.
going to kill me. Really? That snail's going to get me eventually.
I know. I love it.
Death by
Well, they
snail.
ruined
It's
his
like,
birthday party.
Can we hurry this up?
Yeah, a cast of thousands of frogs.
But no,
yeah.
another good honestly, my favorite vampire show was The Strain. I thought that was
That was a really good show.
Very
Yeah,
dark, very
Didn't see it.
dismal take and the vampires were just so much more than just, oh, I'm sexy, I'm gonna bite you now.
Yeah.
I did appreciate that they went back to it. Vampires are a monstrous
Yeah.
form.
Yes.
They're not
Yes.
the sexy things that are,
Like
the whole
what,
sex and vampires
30
thing.
days of night did that too.
Very
Yes.
much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 Days of Night's amazing.
I
I love
like
30
it
Days
when
of
they keep vampires as monsters that they are,
Yeah.
and it's not.
But there was a scene
Well, that
that
was
like
neat.
just kind of really got me in that show, and it's because if you remember, the vampires were almost a hive mind.
Right.
Everyone's trying to leave New York, and the main vampire doesn't want them to, so he just makes all his minion vampires stand on the railroad track to gum up the train. And it's just like, man. And it was a brutal scene. I mean, like, we're talking hundreds of vampires getting run over, because eventually it'll slow it down.
Yeah, they're fucking vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
When
Yeah,
I was just
the
like-
vampires on the Strain were really cool too, because it's like they look normal, but they look normal and mainly due to the fact that they would put on so much caked makeup
Yeah.
and things like that. And then like when the humans be around them long enough, it'd be like, remember the first Terminator? Dogs could figure out what was a human,
Yep.
what was a Terminator. So like when the people would be around the vampires too long, they would figure out, because the vampires
You look weird.
age gracefully like they do in the sexy vampire shows. They're all
Mhm.
ancient. They look 1,000 years old when they're not all glammed out. And then the cool thing, they had like this weird milky. I know we're gonna go ahead, get your jokes ready. But they had like some weird milky stuff that came out of their teeth and it implanted worms. So they
Yeah,
didn't.
it was
they
the
weren't
worm.
like a vampire
the-
that-
they had
the-
RF Kennedy-itis? Is that what they had? Brainworms?
yeah. They kind of shot ringworms.
I
at them.
like,
I'm a vampire now.
oh, the water was clean. God damn it.
Right. Well, what I see
These
is-
worms were good enough for the Potomac River. They're good enough for me.
I see another example of Matheson's I Am
Squirm.
Legend. This is the Strain is I Am Legend. It just
That's kind of yeah.
yeah,
I was thinking that
they've
too.
just kind of continued this idea with this infectious kind of thing that makes the zombies or the vampires. But this is closest to the vampire thing. But it is a disease, just like in The Last
Yeah.
of Us. It is like a fungal, viral
Oh,
kind
God,
of thing,
Yeah.
Right, it's a
infection.
virus.
Yeah. And so we have that, and that's the more plausible. It makes perfect sense, though. I love what Matheson did in applying science to these myths. I thought that was always really, really kind of good.
Yeah.
That's
talking
like
about
Matheson
the
was a
last-
good
like,
writer. He was a good
Yeah.
writer.
Quartermass in the pit.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing about The
concept
Last
is
of Us that I really like, is the fact that that does happen in nature to a degree,
Yep.
and it's really freaky.
Oh, it wouldn't take much for a jump for a fungus to,
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Not at all.
if they wanted to.
So you
The need.
mentioned Buffy.
Mushroom people.
Did you guys watch and like Buffy? Because when it was first on, I thought it was stupid. I mean, I just was
I
having.
never
I
got
didn't-
into that
no,
one.
I
It was a
didn't.
little too.
But
whatever for me.
But later, when my son was of a certain age, he started watching it, and I started watching it with him, and I ended up getting into it. I'm like, oh, it's really
Yeah.
kind of like good dialogue, glib. They get funny, they get serious, they do all kinds of cool stuff.
It was on
Um,
extremely long, wasn't it? 7 years,
for a
maybe?
while. Yeah,
What?
and
It was on quite a while.
7 years, I think, and it was it maintained a pretty good consistency through the whole series, And once I think my least favorite part was when who's the love vampire of her, the guy that was in Bones.
They called
yeah,
Angel or whatever.
Angel. Yeah. The only good episode with him was when they were puppets, which was really cool.
But that's interesting because I recall, talking about just how, I don't know, it just popped in my head. But do you remember how, like, right towards the end, the new millennium, there were a lot of shows on that were just dark.
Like
Right
X-Files,
before
Millennium. Millennium was one of those
X-Files,
shows.
Millennium,
Yeah.
Brimstone. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Where the guy hunted demons and he had to gouge their eyes out to send their souls back to hell.
Of course he did.
Nice.
It was it was great. And the guy who played the devil was a really good actor. He was in the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray. His last name's Glover, I think.
John Glover.
Danny?
He was Lex Luthor's dad on Smallville.
Yes.
Oh,
him.
right.
He was in Gremlins 2 as the owner of that big building. That guy.
Yep.
I don't know.
He played Lucifer, and he was basically he would always show up to make sure the deals are getting done and this guy's doing his job. But I don't remember it lasting more than one season. I just remember it being very dark, and I remember Millennium being very dark.
I loved Millennium, the first season
I did
especially.
too.
Yeah, that first episode, this guy's burying, serial killers, like abducting people and then burying them with their eyes and mouths shut. I'm like, wow, that's fucking great. Like, finally a show for me. And I love Lance Henriksen anyway, but I especially love Frank Black, the character, and the fact that he's dealing with all this dark shit. That was the first Profiler show, and his house is this bright, sunny, lemony yellow, that shows this outwardly bright, but inside it's so goddamn dark. But the story arc with his wife getting kidnapped and then Frank killing the guy who kidnapped her and then her like not liking that, I'm like, that just fucking made me hate her. I'm like, wait a minute, he saved your life. Why are you mad he killed your
he doesn't
abductor?
have enough shit on his shoulders, and you're gonna do it.
Like that's not right. And then the third season, Chris Carter caved into the critics who were like, it's just too dark. And then they started trying to make it funny, and it failed. Except for the one episode that I liked that season, because it's not a good season. The episode where Frank's at the diner and there's demons inside. There's people who look like people, but then he can see that they're demons, and these demons are just talking. So it's a non-action piece. It's a lot of dialogue, but it's kind of a funny one. But
it's three old men, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just sitting there in the diner all talking, but they're all three demons, and Frank can see that they're demons. Yeah. But and then the X-Files was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the X-Files too, all the conspiracy stuff. And
until they got to the virus and all that stuff, I kind of lost.
I
it.
think they don't think I don't
liked
think they
it
knew what they
better when
wanted to
they
do
were
with
jumping
it.
around. I liked it better when they were doing that.
I was
had the
never an
through line.
X-Files fan.
I
Never
never
liked
got
it.
into it. I just didn't have bandwidth when
Yeah.
it was a thing, and by the time I had bandwidth, it was just it was too far gone.
Well, I remember they had the through line stories that would continue it through the seasons. But then what I really loved about X-Files is they'd occasionally have like Monster of the Week episodes.
Those are the ones I liked.
Those were the one like the Fluke Man living in the sewer.
Well,
What was the black and white? What was the black and white one?
But you know what really freaked
With
me
the
out
Frankenstein.
was the one with the inbred family, and then they find the mom underneath the bed that she's like no arms, no legs, or fuck yeah, that was, and she's screaming when they pull her out. Oh, that creeped me out. That was. I think they yanked that episode really quick too. It wasn't on very long.
Yeah, I like the funny episodes. Like whenever they put a bunch of sense of humor into it.
The Lone Gunman.
Yeah. Those
The
were
Men
my
in
favorite
Black.
ones.
The one with the Men in Black.
They really because it was really dark humor, and it was great.
Well, there's
Jesse
the one where the guy
Ventura
says,
and
"I didn't
Sajak.
I didn't play Dungeons and Dragons all this time and not learn something about bravery or something like that." I'm like, and I still use that line badly because it's like, oh my God, it's so fantastic,
It's like I'm a man in my imagination.
That's right, man, imagination, yes.
the episode with it actually is aliens from Hollow Earth. That it was like a comedy one. Everybody's like trying to their interpretation of a incident, and they become the Men in Black. Yeah. Do you guys?
Well, there's the one that they do with Luke Wilson, where what is it? Scully, is that her name?
Yeah.
She's all like
Yeah.
doe-eyed for him. She's like, because she thinks he's just so handsome. He's like some sort of like sheriff or something like that.
Is that the one where he's like emitting like some kind of pheromone to all these women? And
I don't remember the whole thing. I just
There was
remember
yeah,
finding it funny
some
that
weird
Scully
one.
was smitten because she's always so like just kind of detached and cold. Did anybody ever watch the TV show? It was a comedy. I think it was only on for a couple of years, called Reaper.
Why does that sound familiar?
Does not sound familiar.
It is good. Hang on.
Was that the one about death and the different deaths?
No, it has Ray Wise in it. He plays the devil, and his son has to collect these people who have escaped from hell, and he gets his assignment by going to the BMV. So because everybody at the BMV is actually demons.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You know,
Okay.
so he goes there and he gets the assignment, and then he gets a different thing in a box to collect the demons. So like one time it's a sweeper or whatever, you know, one of those handheld sweepers. It's pretty good. I was pretty impressed with it. Nobody's seen it?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I'm not familiar with that
no.
one.
No, does
Yeah, if
not
you get
sound
it-
familiar.
Yeah, it's half-hour comedy. It's and it's
What's this on?
I don't know if it was from 2000 and oh man, when was it? 2007. It was the first time I saw Tyler Labine. And then you'd recognize like Rick Gonzalez from it. Everybody went on to do a whole bunch of other stuff. I think Kevin Smith was in it as a guest appearance. And
You know what horror show got me a lot as a kid? And I forgot about this. Just thought of it. Friday the 13th, the series.
oh
Yeah,
You remember that one?
I do.
Was that the one?
I had a thing for the redhead.
Was that the one where it was
Of
like
course you did.
enchanted objects, basically?
Yeah, it was like they had a museum or like a storage area with all these haunted relics and kind of things, and that's what was their job, to kind of keep them safe.
To get the relics back or something like that.
Keep
wasn't
them and keep them safe from being used. Right.
I remember there was a blanket that whenever you dreamed would happen. And it was like this Amish guy or something. And, since he was Amish, he was all uptight. But then in his dreams, he wanted to do all this crazy shit, and he did. There was another one where it was like a bed with like the top. And if you slept in it, it would like squish you.
Nice.
There's
A pressure-matic
kind of funny.
mattress.
There's been a couple of movies about that, about killer beds. That's good. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent.
Like in Step Brothers when they build the bunk beds. And it just
They have
collapses
room
on
for
them.
so many more activities.
So many
Yeah.
more activities.
Yeah.
Well, those kind of horror-comedies, that's a really fun genre. There's a lot of horror comedies.
Horror-comedies. I like that.
Like What We
Comedies.
Do in the
That could be
Shadows.
all
Yeah,
sorts
What
of
We
them.
Do in the Shadows is one of those. That is just tremendous. I love that show.
Yes.
And
yeah, that is so good.
Who's the guy in the basement?
Fucking guys.
we have superb owl parties every year now, because that's we saw the episode. I'm like, oh, why have we not done that? So yeah, it is such a brilliantly
Oh,
The
it's
one where
great.
he's they didn't make him a vampire and he was so disappointed, but they're like flying him around the room like he could fly. They're holding him up and like, oh, look at him, he's flying. And it's like, anyway, it was so stupid, but it made me laugh.
yeah, because you like the silliness of the characters.
Gilmore. Yeah.
They're just
The
funny.
whole show.
Yeah, it is. The premise of it's great. I love that concept of here's a documentary crew, and
And the very first one when they had the Nosferatu type 1,000-year-old vampire or
Yes.
whatever he was, and just Yeah.
Guillermo opens the door or something and,
Yeah.
and blasts him with the sunlight.
Sunlight and burns him. Yeah, just like
Immediately.
Peter. They called him Peter.
Right,
wasn't
Peter.
it? Yeah.
Right.
Well, he petered out.
What was the one? I didn't have it written on my list. It's about a sheriff in a small town where there's witchcraft. It's the sheriff is played by the guy who was in the medical comedy Scrubs. He was the
Stand
doctor.
Against Evil.
Stand Against
Stand
Evil.
Against
Yes.
Evil, yeah.
Oh my God,
Cool.
that was such a fun
Good horror
show.
That's a good show.
You're right. I didn't want to
Very
like
manic,
it. I thought,
very Evil Dead type manic.
oh, it
energy.
was
Yeah.
very much. But I didn't watch it at first because of that. But then I started watching it, and it did get its own rhythm going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was a little different.
Well,
But
then
yeah,
nobody
essentially
watched-
that's what it is.
what's the one? Kevin Bacon has one out. What, The Bondsman?
Yeah,
Oh, the
Yeah.
bondsman that just.
that's what I was thinking about that one too. And it was just like I started watching that, and I don't know. Have you watched very much of it?
I haven't tried to watch it yet. It's in my queue. I've been doing
It
a
seems
thing where
like
I
I've
watch a
seen
movie
that
a day.
so much, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's like a resurrected bounty hunter, basically.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have you seen that?
Yeah, but not with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Baconator.
Yeah, right. And I
You're
was
limp.
thinking, the term horomedy could mean a couple of things.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I'm
True.
thinking too.
It depends on if P. Diddy's involved or not. You know, that's right. We're gonna have a freak off.
off.
right.
More oil.
Yeah. Any of you guys watch Channel Zero, Candle Cove? Did you guys ever see Channel Zero?
Was that the one with the teeth?
Yes, the tooth monster.
The tooth monster? That thing was gross.
It was so fucking creepy.
It really was.
It was a
Channel Zero.
human completely made of teeth and would go steal teeth from children. Like,
Oh,
fuck, really creepy. I
Oh,
mean,
like the Tooth Fairy or something.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But it
Candle
was just
Cove.
gross.
Yeah. Well, Candle Cove's the name of the like the TV show. There's a little bit of like there's a TV show that comes on, and it's a really bizarre TV show, and it makes people like make some of the kids like kill one another. I mean, it's a very Stephen King kind of thing. But that concept of a horror show called Candle Cove, I actually you made a reference to that. It's in my cozy, where I have Adventure Cove. You know, Mrs. Montag knew and right away what I was doing. But I'm like, no, that's just for me. I want to
I
have
know
something a little horror in it.
that's as cool as Pirates
little-
Cove too.
Well,
Right,
I'm-
right.
I'm surprised nobody's mentioned Supernatural yet, the TV show.
I've only watched 2 episodes of that.
That's
I've never
another
watched
one I
any of
didn't have
these.
bandwidth and never got into.
Well, my son started
Oddly.
watching it again. He would be watching it and he would binge because it was on for freaking
15
20 years.
years.
Yeah, something like that. So he was watching it and it was really campy and funny. So they would, it was kind of like a Buffy-esque kind of thing. And it had Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's played the most dead dads in all TV and movies.
Yeah.
He does. He dies in so he was the dead dad in what was that that show that had Mary Louise Parker or whatever?
Weeds?
Weeds. Yeah, he was the dead dad in Weeds.
He was the dead dad in Watchmen.
Yep, the Watchmen. Technically, yeah, he was on. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. But anyway, Supernatural was pretty funny. I would just catch bits and pieces of it, and then I would talk to people. You'd mention it, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's my greatest show ever," And so, but there's just so much of it. How can you dig into that and be like, I'm gonna watch 15 years of TV?
Do you remember an anthology show that came out probably in like 2010 called The Masters of Horror?
Yes.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Yes, I
yeah.
do.
Yep. All
That's
those
pretty good.
famous,
It was
famous
Definitely
directors.
R-rated. Yeah.
For-
It was
famous
flawed,
directors.
but it
Yes.
was good stuff. It was some
There was one called Pelts. That I don't know who did it. I think it was someone like Dario Argento or someone really famous.
Wasn't it? Which one did Joe Dante do?
No, maybe it was Joe. It was Joe Dante probably
yeah,
who did it.
I think. Yeah.
It's the one about the raccoons that they skinned them, but they were magical raccoons, and because if you touched the pelt, it would make you like. Well, the one guy puts his own head in a bear trap, Another guy she stitches her mouth
Yeah.
shut in her nose so she can't breathe. I just remember that one being off the hook. Just over the
No,
top.
I have to go back and look for that
Yeah.
one. I've never seen
That would be a
one.
good counterpoint to watch with hundreds of beavers.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yes.
That's a horror-omedy.
funniest thing was-
Horror-omedy.
It's a horror-omedy.
Yes, yes.
No, that's just a comedy. Sorry. That's just
Well,
Yeah.
the funny thing was, is when the raccoons would like enchant you, when you'd get enchanted and you're starting to kill yourself, the music was like this Peter Pan happy, like la 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 la, as you like shove your head
perfect.
in a blender.
Yeah.
Like Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Right. Let's,
Halloween
yeah.
3.
I like Halloween 3, by the way. Thank you.
I do if it weren't called Halloween 3. If it just
Right.
had another title,
If
it was a
just
good
I
movie.
get it.
The Witch.
I totally get it.
Yep, Season of the Witch.
Season of the Witch
Season
would
of
have
the
been-
Witch would have
Would
been
have been fine. A
way
much,
better.
much better
I-
movie.
had
it's
trying
a
to
totally flawed
capitalize
movie.
on the Halloween
Yeah.
theme.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's not even what it was. John Carpenter never intended Halloween to be this series. He wanted it to be like an anthology where each
Mhm.
movie was supposed to be different.
He
it
did
was
not
right.
even want to call it that.
Under
yeah.
the banner of Halloween. Right?
under the
Yeah.
banner of Halloween. But
Yeah.
he's like, the fans were
Right.
not having it.
Nope. Nope.
But I do like that. But there again, that's kind of a merging of that science and the supernatural there, and trying to influence.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of
Chips
fun.
of Stonehenge in a computer chip. Chips and chips. It's
That's
great.
right.
Yeah, and then they actually steal the
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge and bring it
Yeah.
here somehow. Yeah,
The-
yeah, I thought
the-
that was great.
Yeah, but Professor Fether and I went to see that in the theater, and we both, I think the
Yeah.
whole audience groaned when what's his face throws the mask up over the camera while his hands are tied behind the chair. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, come on,
I'm practicing.
do better.
It's like watching Deadly Friend. The basketball scene is my favorite
Oh,
one. Oh, I could watch that 1,000 times. It's just so good. But it's still terrible. You can see her
So-
trying not to laugh. Like, oh my God.
the
but this-
lasagna
Now,
against the
did
wall.
you guys catch the first season of? I think it's called. It was True Crime. What was it called? It was the one with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah,
True
that's good.
Detective.
Oh, yeah.
That show's
True
amazing.
Detective.
True Detective. That
Detective.
the first episode about season about the Yellow King.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
was-
Good.
That
Yep.
was some
Yeah.
classic.
Very
writing.
good.
And there's actually a lot of horror element in that first
Yep.
season of True Detective, but also
Yep.
in the latest season, the
Yeah,
Jodie Foster season,
Yes.
which are the only
Yeah.
two seasons that actually directly interact. The other two seasons were anthology in between, but the
Okay.
newest season connected back to the first season, and
Yep.
that's kind of a horror story.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the Yellow King goes back to Ambrose Bierce, I believe, and the
Yep.
ancient play that would drive you mad.
Yep.
Wow.
But then
It
it was
does,
also
yes.
elaborated on by H.P. Lovecraft and kind of hearkened into his Cthulhu mythos as one of the old ones.
And
I'm
made
tapping
huge.
out. I'm like, what? That's good. It's good.
So it's interesting. I mean, but the way they write it, you don't know. It's like you're like, is this guy some ancient deity is he being influenced, or is he just crazy? And even now, when I've watched it, it's like they did it so well, you kind of don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't mean to. I guess that's more of a movie. Sorry, forget it.
The
I was going off
last
on a tangent about this stuff.
the last season of True Detective was great, and I love it because Jodie Foster is just kind of an asshole,
She
in that
is.
season. So and they don't try to play it down or any of that kind of stuff, which is really
Everybody in town hates her guts.
good. Yep. And
Nice.
She is
isn't it a
literally
shorter?
the least popular person in town.
Yeah. Isn't it a shorter season too? Like, isn't there? I can't remember. Were there
Yeah,
only
they
six
only
episodes?
gave this one. They only gave the new season 8, where they had given the other ones 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It was fine though.
Speaking
It was,
of,
they didn't need more.
Jodie
No.
Foster there. Has anybody seen the little girl who lives down the lane?
Yes.
Oh God, forever ago. I know where you're going now.
I'm just bringing it back home here. Just bringing it back home. Just like that.
Yes.
So
Wasn't
Getting
Martin
us back
Sheen
on
in
track.
it too? Wasn't he like the
Martin Sheen. Yeah.
the creepy 30-year-old guy? That
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
nobody's mentioned The Walking Dead yet.
Well, I was just getting ready to. It's on my
I
list.
figured we saved that one
Yeah,
for the
Walking
end.
Dead. How many of you guys were watchers or watched all of it or
Oh,
part of it?
I was for a while.
For
Yeah,
a
for a
while.
while.
If you could see me now, you'd see I'm puking. That show is a piece of shit. Total.
Well,
I watched 10 minutes, I think, of the first episode and said, I'll not watch anymore. This is just total crap. And what I think, Gadfly, you read the comic book.
No, I never read the comic book.
Yeah.
That's not true. I read the first trade paperback because Tony Moore drew the
Was it-
comic book. And when they
Oh,
switched,
okay.
yeah,
No,
when
I'm
they
sorry.
switched-
I just
Yeah.
found it totally bad writing.
What happened?
Yeah, what's
Someone-
going on?
What happened? Oh.
someone was trying to load something. That's weird.
Oh.
Looked like it, yeah.
Oh, it might have been
But
because I raised my hand.
Oh.
What I would recommend, I lost interest pretty quickly with the Walking Dead, just because it was too plotting and too.
Well,
soap
you guys
opera.
don't like
Same.
zombies to begin
Well,
with.
I don't mind zombies because here they just did the series where they had Daryl and then they had Dead City, and I thought those were great.
Yep.
Right.
Sending Daryl over to France,
France.
which was really cool, and then
The Rick and Michonne.
Rick and
series.
Michonne, yep, was really good,
Yeah,
and then
Liv.
they were less.
Negan and what's her name in New York?
Yep, it was Dead City.
Yeah,
wasn't
Negan
it?
and Maggie. That show's great.
Yeah,
I heard that one was very good. Yeah.
it's a lot
Second
less
season of that
soap
one just
opera.
started.
Lot less soap opera-y,
Yeah.
Well, I know the season at Herschel's farm was purely economical because they
Yeah.
had no money. They're like, well,
Right.
we can't do anything, so how about we stay at this farm for a year? All right, and that's got a little draggy. But
Yeah,
I stopped with the Negan storyline because I was reading the comic books before it came out, and so I liked how the comic book and the series wove back and forth, and
Yeah.
so it still kept it kind of fresh. But when they started doing Negan, how they dealt with that, it quickly changing how the characters were, and like Carol, like, wait a minute, they're not even recognizable anymore.
No.
It's just there was a quick change, and I'm like, no, I'm done, and I never went back to it, and it's like, no, they lost me. But
yeah, mine happened even for quicker than that. I think I made it maybe 3 seasons through, and I think I was done with it. But I really like those new ones that they're doing. Again, they feel much different. I mean, I will say that Greg Nicotero's makeup work is amazing. I think the stuff that he does really
on the scale,
sells.
that would have to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the way that it really sells it for zombies, but it's just
Now, another anthology. I know this is more science fiction, but there were aspects of horror to it. Have any of you guys watched Love, Death, Robots?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh, fuck
My-
yes.
we've done a couple
Beyond-
episodes on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
all
very
of them.
nice.
Yeah.
I was just thinking Beyond the Akula Rift.
Uh-huh.
That one
Yep.
Mhm.
where he's banging that thing, and then you find out what it is, and it's like. But the thing is, I a lot of people are horrified by that, but me being a weirdo, I'm like, the thing actually cares for him. So
It's like
and it
watching
can look
Galaxy Quest when the tentacles come out.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
just like
I
gets in,
really
oh,
like happy endings. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you're Missy piling it on.
you're just like, you know what, man. But no, I thought that show had a lot of really interesting dynamics.
Yeah.
I love that show. I just
Yeah, the
like
Conquistador. Remember the Conquistador one with the woman in the
Yes.
water?
the
That was
siren.
one of my favorites.
Siren,
Oh
yeah,
my
that's one of my
God.
favorites too. And that's horrific. I mean, that's a horror story,
Yeah.
Yes.
supernatural fantasy horror. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a brilliant show.
What's the one, the Ratmageddon about the cyborg
Love that.
fucking scorpion killing all the
So
mice?
good.
Yeah.
So good.
And the cats. And
Mhm.
yeah, how
I like the
cats are interwoven through everything, and it's just really
Yep.
the one with the big monster on the ship, the crab monster, the
Oh, the
big
guy
giant.
makes the deal.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the
Oh
crab.
yeah.
That one with that one still is really creepy. The animation is gorgeous on that one.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, such a good show. So,
Yeah.
did anyone watch The Exorcist that was on Fox for 2 seasons?
No,
not.
I watched
the
the
No.
first episode and I was like, I can't do it.
Oh, the first season is so good. So good. The second season not as successful, but the first season is brilliant. Really, really good. But the greatest thing in the second season is that it has a nod to Exorcist 3, which is really kind of cool. It was great to see. I'm
Gemini
like,
Killer.
I'm not gonna say. You gotta watch it.
Damn.
But when you see it, you will know immediately what they're doing. Like, yep. Um, well, how about did anyone watch the Sleepy Hollow TV series? Also, I think on Fox.
Oh,
It was like a
no.
I
detective.
think I watched it, but
Became
I
a
don't
detective
I
remember.
watched
kind
the
of
first
thing.
year of it.
One
I
was
watched the
that?
first year of it.
Yeah, the first year was fun. We stopped like halfway into the second one because it just got bad.
Oh,
Just
I
like
don't. Yeah.
just like with
That's
the
it, kind of, yeah.
yeah, just like with the Lucifer show. It
Yep.
stopped becoming interesting where he was doing something threatening and hurting people to like, oh, so Lucifer, the extent of your powers is to like change the dice like a Jedi in episode 1. Like, it just became so bad. And it was just like, no.
It's like, you're
No,
fucking Lucifer. You can
I
do
know.
stuff.
Show me that you're fucking Lucifer, right? Do something. Yeah. And Sleepy Hollow is funny. And there's another one. It's on Netflix. Lockwood and Co. Anyone see that one?
Oh, the comics are great.
Are they?
Yeah, they're amazing. It's what's his name? Stephen King's son, Joe
Joe
Hill.
Yeah.
Writes them, and then this artist is just insane. It's
Are we
so
talking about Lock and Key?
Lockwood.
Yeah, Lock and Key.
No, Lockwood.
Oh,
Lockwood
sorry.
and Co.
Yeah,
Lock and
sorry.
Key. No, that's fine. Lock and Key. I totally agree with you on
Yeah.
all those. This is Lockwood and Co. and Company.
No, sorry
I'm not
about yeah.
familiar.
Right.
It's a
I'm looking at
British
it right now.
a British one about teens. This is a world where ghosts can be seen by certain teenagers, certain young kids can see ghosts, and so that they're the only ones who can have a chance of catching them. All these malevolent spirits are everywhere. So there are these groups of like kids who going
So are they
around.
being cultivated?
Well,
to
that's
do
the
that?
thing. It's like there was only the one season, unfortunately, because I think there was more to go. But that was when COVID, right before COVID, and then it just never came back to it. But the kids can see ghosts. So there's this like kind of a rival between these Ghostbuster groups, these kids, and
Right.
so there was that element as well. But it's very British. But the kids are likable, and it has really good elements of horror, and not just like kid stuff. It's like there were some genuinely creepy scenes mixed in. So that's a really good
No,
show.
that's
Well, I
cool.
think that segues interestingly into Stranger Things. What did
Oh
you guys
yeah.
think of that?
Oh yeah.
First season loved it, but I quickly lost interest. Yeah, it's just,
I lost interest around season 3, even though there were some cool visuals, apparently. But the big monster made out of human corpses in the second season, that was that was some horror and nightmare fuel right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked all of the seasons. I thought they were all good. Maybe not the last one, not as much, but I like that it takes its time. I like the characters, and it's nice seeing the cast as they age and that friendship feels palpable.
That kind of
But,
freaks me out seeing them age because
Yeah.
because they age so
They
much
did
between
such a-
seasons.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
and the time frame in which that story takes place, it reminds me of being a kid.
Yes.
Right.
And
And going back to Walking Dead for a second, what Gadfly was saying is that Walking Dead, because whenever the kid had Carl, he would keep getting these big growth spurts in between seasons, and so to explain it, he would have to make the next season a time jump. It had to be like 4 years later because now Carl's a foot taller
Yeah.
than he
Call me
was.
Rondo.
Yeah.
yeah. Did any of you guys see the NBC Dracula? It was on in 2013. It was only on one season.
Yes, I thought that was actually very well done.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch. I don't even remember that happening.
I don't.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, me either.
I remember it being a pretty good show, actually. Who played Dracula in that?
I
trying to
forget he's
remember.
he's an actor, but they stopped.
He's
John
an actor.
Carradine.
He is an
No,
actor.
I know. I was just saying he's an actor.
Narrow it down, ladies
But I'm
and
also
gentlemen.
he's also an alcoholic, and that was why they had to cut the show. He
Oh, John
was getting
Carradine.
more and more
Yeah.
difficult to work with.
John
But he apparently he's just had this problem with other acting gigs as well. But I don't remember his name, but he was brilliant. I thought he was wonderful
Buster Brooks.
because it's
Like,
yeah it's Because they brought in,
Dean
like
Martin.
Nikola Tesla, and it was
Because-
this kind of Victorian kind of
Well,
there's about
that's
Dracula in
shocking.
Victorian
Yes.
stuff. It was kind of it was kind of awesome. And I like the premise. And there's like the anti-vampire like hunters and groups, and there's all these things that they were setting into motion, which I really liked. And
Oh, that does sound kind of fun though.
yeah, it was done. It was done well. I thought it was it was good. I mean, it may not, after only 12 years, maybe it won't hold up now, but I would think it might, because I thought it was pretty good.
Do you remember
Needs to be
Marvel
redone.
Marvel Comics quick little they did a Halloween thing. It was like a special broadcast called Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by
Oh
Night.
yeah, on Disney.
That was
Yes.
amazing.
Oh, that
Oh,
was on
yeah,
Di-
I
okay,
saw that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what that was on.
Yeah, Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, because this year for Halloween they re-released it in color. They did a
Oh,
color
okay.
version.
Okay.
Oh, the black and white made it great.
The
Boring.
black
Yes,
and white
very,
version is
very
way
universal.
better. Don't bother with the color.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Black and white is so much better.
I was
So the g-
really hoping for more.
I kind of was too. I thought it was
Kinda.
going to be a show.
I was kind of hoping to see the
Yeah.
Frankenstein, but
The guy who
the
played
monster.
the guy who played Dracula, his name, it looks like when you see it, it says Claes Bang, B-A-N-G is the last name, but apparently it's pronounced Klespan.
Wow.
Yeah, he was
Crazy.
great.
Well, okay.
But
Danish actor.
Another show that we haven't talked about, which is kind of in this whole genre, that I don't know necessarily horror, but that's a whole nother argument. Dexter.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
Oh,
just
Dexter's
first
a
season.
fantastic show.
First season's great. They kind of lose the sense of humor that they had in the first season.
They
You know,
do.
it
They
kind of
do.
gets more and more grim, which it's still good, but that first season just is fucking amazing. It's so dark humor, that it's great. The
Yep.
other one, Dexter's great. The other one that I saw was Penny Dreadful. Have you guys ever seen Penny Dreadful?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Penny
we're
Dreadful,
just-
the
yeah, a
first
couple episodes.
seasons I thought
Yes.
were fantastic.
Really
They're
good.
fit- yeah,
I saw a
thought-
little bit of it. The direction that they were going is kind of it was, yeah, it made
was
it
great.
interesting.
Yeah, the way they played Frankenstein's monster was amazing, and I really enjoyed that a lot, and there was a lot of mystery. You didn't know who was who at sometimes, and what they could do, and then they start to do these really nice subtle reveals. So I thought, and it's shot beautifully. I mean, it's like a high-end film.
Yeah.
Another one that is, it definitely harkens to the theme is Hannibal, the show.
Oh
Yeah, I was going to
Oh.
mention that too.
Mads Mikkelsen.
yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen is, he's fantastic. He's just so great as Hannibal.
He's a
Lecter.
better Hannibal than Anthony Hopkins was.
No.
They gave him
Fight!
3 seasons to flesh it out.
I liked him.
They
I liked.
to
I
flesh
liked.
it out. That's what made it better.
Yeah,
There-
I just like.
There
the
was never a
hallucination.
time in this. Go ahead, Gab.
No,
go ahead.
I'm just saying I like the hallucinatory feeling of that whole series.
Yes.
I even liked it when they switched over to whoever played Scully. What's her name?
Gillian Anderson.
Yeah,
Gillian
Gillian
Anderson,
Anderson. Yeah. Even when they switched over to that,
Gillian.
I thought that was really kind of creepy too. So yeah,
Yep.
just that weird hallucination kind of thing that was crazy.
Well, the part that always stuck with me was when when Dollarhide, the final fight with Dollarhide, and how just the imagery, when he walks over to get Hannibal, you for a flash you see he has wings, but he really doesn't. Or
Oh,
then
you
when
mean-
his throat
Red
gets
Dragon?
split. Yeah, the Red Dragon, the blood
Oh, yeah.
wings that form
Yeah.
behind him as he's. All the imagery in that show is just so fantastic.
Yep.
Very well done. Very well done.
And I was amazed how much gore they let that show get away with, because that was a network
Yes.
show. That wasn't
FX.
even
It was
like
FX, though.
or
yeah, it was FX.
That's true.
Extremely gory.
Well, and what's interesting is and I thought this was an interesting take. They wanted to be sure that the food being prepared looked good. Like you as the audience, they wanted you to be like, this is good. This looks tasty.
Right.
So they had actual chefs come in and prepare like these really exquisite looking meals out of, real food, obviously. But then when it's a juxtaposition.
Are you sure?
That's the thing, because you see what Hannibal's doing, and then you see him prepping it, and it's some of it. I'm like, man, I'd try that. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Takes long
It's
pig to a
okay,
whole
it's
nother
Asian.
level.
Yeah, long pig.
We should have been suspicious when the appetizer was finger sandwiches with head cheese.
Leg of Miss Lamb. Yeah.
Shishka Bob.
Patty pate.
I like shish kebab. That's
Shish
great.
kebab.
It's a whole new new line of garbage pail kids cards.
I can see a
Probably-
Tarr and Fether episode or skit coming out of that too.
Yeah,
Shish
shish
kebab.
kebab.
Shish kebab.
Well, they did what was it? It was the Herschel Gordon Lewis movie. What was it? They did the
You or
Leg of
me
Lamb.
next.
It's like
Which
some
one?
diner.
Blood-
God, I don't know.
Oh,
Or maybe it
Blood
was
Diner?
Undertaker.
oh, you mean
Undertaker and his pals. But anyway, they're at the diner, serving of course, the
you're not talking about
corpses that they get.
Blood Feast, are you?
Blood
No.
feast.
Quad
I
Ramses,
think,
the
well, maybe
Egyptian
that was
caterer?
Blood
What?
Feast.
How
Was-
about
was-
an Egyptian feast?
Yeah, was
Not
it Miss-
seen for
was it Miss
That was
Lamb?
4,000
Blood Feast,
years.
yes.
I thought one of the early ones, was like, they serve at the diner, they kill a Miss Lamb, then they serve leg of lamb next day
Yep.
on the diner. Special today is
That's good. It's like
Like
an
a
EC,
lamb.
like an EC horror, EC comics,
yes,
Sorta.
Yeah.
but it's
But yeah.
Herschel Gordon Lewis,
Has anyone
so
watched the
not
new
done well
version-
at all. So
Bake sizzling bacon?
Has anyone watched the newer version of Creep Show that Greg and Nicotero does on Shudder?
Yeah.
You know,
All
I have
kinds of
seen a few
fun,
of
just
those
like
episodes.
just like the '80s movies.
Yep.
Like it's a half hour each episode. You get 2 stories
Mhm.
each
Yep.
episode, but it's by Craig Nicotero of Walking Dead.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're fun.
And like they do like the Stephen King, George Romero's movies, and like the comics used to be. You'd have one thing that would be batshit terrifying, but then the other half would be either silly or funny. So it kind of gave you a balance each episode, so you weren't just stressed out the entire half hour. But it's like I get Shudder through AMC Plus, but yeah, Creepshow. There's I think 3 or 4 seasons of it now on Shudder / AMC Plus, but
Yeah,
really worth a watch.
Yeah,
Just as
Shudder's
fun as the '80s movies.
Shudder's the only streaming service I pay for besides Amazon. So, and it's
Right.
because they've got a lot of crazy good stuff on there. And then it's got Joe
So much
Bob's Last Drive-In,
Yep.
which is great because you can watch some of the movies they lose the licenses to. But they have this one where it's just Joe Bob. So all they do is play the segments from in between.
Yep.
And those are great. It's hilarious. And what is it? Darcy the Mail Girl?
Darcy the Mail Girl.
Yeah, she's a stripper and a porn star. And you
Yeah.
know, that's how she really makes her living. But she's a fucking cinephile. Like even
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
Bob's he's going, where the fuck did you get that? He's like,
And especially she is a horror cinephile.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
she comes up with some obscure trivia just off the top of her head during those segments.
Well, then she does what cosplay from
Yeah.
each of the movies too, which
Yeah,
are
she
great.
always shows up. Right, because I was watching Halloween 4 yesterday,
Why?
and
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.